All right, we are recording. So continuing in the. Hang on. Just want to make sure. I think I was pointing in the right direction. But now we're on Revenge of the Sith. So the finale of the prequel trilogy. And well, actually, here let me just quickly say one thing because I did watch Attack of the Clones earlier today. Had to fix a lot of technical stuff because just media can be weird. Anyway, I was actually surprised. Because I'm watching, it's like, wow, the book really is so much better than that movie. I mean, there's so many problems with that book. The book also has a lot of good stuff, but it's like, wow, yeah, they they had done that better. I was like, one thing just to be quick on it is a quick example is in the book. It is emphasized how Dooku knows how to fence, so he knows how to fight somebody with another lightsaber. While all the newer Jedi's, they're taught how to fight somebody with blasters, and that's part of the reason that Dooku dominates Obi-Wan and Anakin. Um, but in the movie, there's nothing of that. No, they're basically using the exact same style. And it's like, it actually is very important to the character, I feel, because it shows how he is a bit different, but also how he is prepared for this, and they are not. And that he can dominate them like that. There is kind of just playing with them. Mm-hmm. And then also when Yoda comes in, it's way more impressive in the book. And also he doesn't get straight to the hopping around like he does. I mean, my read in the book, in Attack of the Clones, it is Yoda is at first being like, you are still insignificant compared to me. It's like, he's pulling these things down, trying to attack Yoda, and Yoda's just like, hand wave away, not struggling away, but I don't even care. Like, the lightning, okay, this one kind of surprises me. But then you try it again, it's like, okay, now I'm comfortable with this. I'm just like, that's power scaling, because it is kind of that, is important. And I don't think that, I think the book does a better job there than the movie. But you do still have a lot of the other issues that I mentioned while doing those videos. Anyway, let's get to Revenge of the Sith with the introduction, the Age of Heroes. So this is before we get to Part 1, Victory. That actually is a little funny that's how they. Oh, I see that Chapter 1, Anakin and Obi-Wan is the name of it because I'm going to be talking about that. I am concerned. I have concerns just from this introduction. By the way, it's by Matthew Stover. I'm mentioning that not to, like, focus on the dude. I mean, he could be a fantastic author and still have strong books and weak books. It's the case for everyone. But it's just there are things in here where it's like, okay, I'm already a little concerned. Actually, no, I'm very concerned with some, but no, I mainly wanted to mention the author because I know somebody had a comment on a previous video, it was a while ago, saying who are the authors. So, yeah. Okay. The science fiction worries me right away. So it describes a couple things that's like, okay, this cannot be how this actually works. Hang on a second. I'm a little off center. It's also weird. This camera is like, here is where it looks like it's centered, but it's actually like a little bit over here that's aimed. Anyhow. So we do start with moments before the movie starts, as I recall. So Anakin and Obi-Wan haven't quite arrived yet in their fighters, but they do at the end of this. And I want to say that is basically where the movie starts, is they're being in the battle. It is interesting, the description here, but it describes something else about Coruscant. And it's one of those, I get the idea, but it's dumb. And I'll explain. The artificial daylight spread by the capital's orbital mirrors is sliced by intersecting flames of ion drives, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the idea of having mirrors orbiting a planet so that you would just reflect the sunlight onto it, for some planets makes sense, not Coruscant. Because Coruscant it's a city planet, right? It's cities, the whole thing is covered with a city. It's an urban environment. And with skyscrapers, very, very tall skyscrapers, large buildings. Well, shining light down doesn't really help unless you have sufficient windows. And also, if you're actually near where there are regulations in the design and construction of skyscrapers for how the angle that they are relative to the street level to make sure enough sunlight comes down, and also how much sunlight will fall from how much sunlight is blocked by one skyscraper onto another. Coruscant is filled with skyscrapers. So, yeah, no, I don't think that this would be smart. Why would you bother with that? It's not going to be as effective as, say, having something that collects the energy, beams it down at specific spots so that can receive it, and then you just use it to power indoor lighting. Because that would far more so open up your capacity to light areas. I mean, you could have... I mean, think about something like a domed stadium, football stadium or baseball stadium. You can't use natural lighting for all that. You have to use artificial lighting because you're covering most of it. It's like a lot of the buildings there are going to be like that. So, yeah, it's like I get the idea here, but it legitimately is a dumb idea. Now, for Earth, where there's still the majority of the planet is not urban, it would actually work fine. There's potential issues with directed energy weapon kind of concepts, but it still is that actually would be viable here because we don't have everything being massive cities. While Coruscant, that's all the planet is. There's also one thing that I noted. Reflected light is half the intensity of the original light, half the brightness, because it's polarized, which could also potentially have issues. Now, to be fair, that is something that plenty of people probably don't know. I think that was Physics 2 for me in college. So if you didn't take physics in college, you wouldn't necessarily encounter that. And I'm not even sure if that... I can't remember if that would have been in my high school physics class. But still, it is one of those things. Yeah, that is actually the case. And also the fact that it's polarized light could be interesting. And then if it's reflected again, the polarization. But it's like, technically, especially because they make a point about, all these different space aliens, how they're referring to them, it's like, potentially you could have some space aliens that their vision is polarized as well. So it's like they might, it might be that they can't actually see some of that light. I mean, it's just a funny concept that occurred to me. That would be fun to explore, but that's going that's going much further afield. It is still this isn't that great a science fiction. And before we even get too much further, it mentions something. I think it's here. Yeah. The shining hairlines of light scatter from turbo laser bolts powerful enough to vaporize a small town. I got a problem here. Turbo lasers are that powerful? That's insane. Because just a small town to me, granted, I'm kind of a city kid, but still is. A small town, I still would consider to be more than a square mile? And you're saying you have the turbo lasers can annihilate that. There are battleships with a bunch of these on there. Why do we need the Death Star? No, I'm completely serious here. That is so devastating, and it's common. They cover Star Destroyers. You'd be able to, one of those would be able to raise a planet. Why? And then it's like the planet is still there. In theory, you just, put down people and start living in other places than where you destroyed. And it works. Why would you ever I mean, okay, yeah, the terror of exploding a planet. But it's also when it comes to certain... I mean, it would be one of those things where you only use it a few times and then you can't use it anymore because you're losing access to so much. I mean, technically, you also may be able to start mining the debris that's left. But it still is like... Turbo lasers! I didn't realize they're supposed to be this powerful. This is insane! This is absolutely insane! I mean, here... If this were real, and I can completely believe this is not, right? That this is just how the person decided to describe it. And it's like, I would absolutely, if I were in this, and this is war, it's like, I am designing fighters capable of, even if it's just one of them, one turbo laser on there. I'm designing fighters that way that I can mass produce. Because you send 1,000 of these things anywhere, you could lose 900 of them. Right? You could be down to just 10% of what you sent in. At the end of it, that much power would probably obliterate most anything you're coming in contact with. I'm not even sure how the battleships would survive getting hit by this stuff. Because it's also, I could be wrong here, but I don't think even, I think if I remember correctly, and it's been a long time, even the Super Star Destroyer, like the Executor, whichever that is, that you see in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, is only 2 or 3 kilometers. So that's on the scale of about a mile long. And it dwarfs all of the Star Destroyers. So if my estimate is correct, of a small town being at least a square mile, that would technically mean a turbo laser should be able to destroy, or at least take a lot out of a Star Destroyer. You know what? Oh yeah, I don't want to do this, but Star Destroyer size. I don't want to, like, look away, but it's like, okay. Star Destroyers vary in size. Okay, so it is the Executor class is about 62,000 feet long, so it's actually, crap, I'm trying to quickly do that math in my head. Yeah, it's about 5,000, so, wait, 12 miles? That doesn't seem, well, no, actually, that does seem kind of close, because it's 19 kilometers long. I thought it was much smaller, but it still is. A Star Destroyer is about a mile long. So, and it's not a mile wide. So if it is, even if it is a small town is 1 square mile, so a mile that way and a mile that way, that's still a single turbo laser should devastate any Star Destroyer. This is very, very troublesome science fiction here. So it's like, I probably need to be like, yeah, ignore that. And I shouldn't be doing that. I'm in the freaking, it's literally, come on. Introduction, page 1. It's like right here under my finger right now. That's where it is. And it's like, I have to ignore this. Like I said, I'm not feeling good about this one. I'm not. Hopefully, no. I was about to say, hopefully the storytelling, like the drama to it will be good. But no, I already know that I've already got issues here. Okay, let me just, because that was 2 points. Oh, yeah. It also talks about how, where is it? Kind of skip over that a little bit. I can come back to it. But basically, oh yeah. I didn't actually put this in. Well, I did kind of, but a little late. Everyone knows that more Jedi are killed or captured every day, and the Grand Army of the Republic has been pushed out of system after system, but this, a strike at the very heart of the Republic, an invasion of Coruscant itself. How can this happen? It's a nightmare and no one can wake up. There are multiple problems I have with this. One is, okay, why is the Republic losing? The end of Attack of the Clones is the start of the war, and the Separatists suffered a major defeat. Major. I mean, it's like it even makes a point later on. Pongo the Lesser's Archduke of the Weapon Masters of Geonosis, where the war began. The Republic captured Geonosis, though. They drove everyone out, because the Separatists were in retreat. So they don't have access to this unless they rallied and came back, but it still is like, I'm blowing that shit up. I'm just like, okay, we captured it. We might not be able to hold it for long, but we got bombs, right? Yeah. Blow every facility here. We cannot let them come back and find anything useful. So, and it's like, this was a devastating defeat. They should have lost, because they weren't prepared. The Trade Federation wasn't prepared. So many of their ships were on the ground and were being devastated. And thousands of ships were described as being there for Attack of the Clones. And the Republic was at full force. The Separatists were not. They were not even prepared. And you're telling me, it actually hasn't gone into how many years have passed yet, but you're telling me that the Republic, that the Separatists managed to rally and push them back after that kind of defeat right at the start. How? I need to know how. It's fine that the Republic is being pushed back, but I need to know how. Because Well, yeah, it is actually kind of like what we see in other places as well with some of the the newest Star Wars movies, like Force Awakens. It's like the only way Force Awakens makes sense is basically if you ignore that at Return of the Jedi, the New Republic won, that the Rebellion won, because it's like, oh yeah, everything is horrible again. It's like, so that victory didn't matter. It's like that's what this feels like here, is that the victory of Geonosis didn't matter, and it was a victory. Yet Dooku escaped, but still, as I said then, why would anyone bother to follow him? He just lost very heavily. It's like, it still is, oh, that was meaningless. It's like, it shouldn't be. Why are you robbing that to serve this? It's like, give the explanation. Give the explanation. It's not here yet, though. Maybe it'll be later, but it's not here now. And this is when I'm wanting it, because this is when you're telling me that there's a problem. But there's also Invasion of Coruscant itself, and how this is so terrible. It's like, the way hyperdrives are described. This is the note that I did make. The way they are described, you don't know when somebody is in hyperspace. You don't know they're there. Okay, it's perfect for moving anything in secret. That means you could blitz with an entire fleet. And that's essentially what they did here, but it's like, why would this be surprising? I mean, this is exactly what should have happened early on both sides. Like, I mean, it should have been... think about Geonosis. They had no idea that the public was there until suddenly they were shooting up the droids. They didn't even know the Jedi had arrived, and they were walking amongst the crowd for a while, getting into the arena, and they had no idea. This is like... I mean, that's they're not paying attention. This is no, we can just move an entire fleet this way. Why wouldn't you have attacked Coruscant already? I mean, there is a mention about how the gravity well of the planet, it's like hyperspace doesn't... You can't enter and exit hyperspace you can't enter hyperspace within the gravity well of the planet. I guess it's also, we should assume you cannot exit it. But still is, like that whole 1,000 ships, you lose 900 of them. It's like, you come in with 1,000 ships. Coruscant should have planetary defenses, but you could still come out very near and just start unloading. And even if you lose a whole bunch, you've devastated a lot. And there's also the whole... Star Wars Rebellion is set during the original trilogy, but they do have ships there that are interdictor. In fact, the Star Destroyer class, I think, was called the interdictor class. That is a gravity well generator to protect it, so you can't hyperspace it. Why is that technology apparently not here? It's not unreasonable that it would exist at this time, but it still is the whole... My point of blitzes with entire fleets should be possible here. So the idea that this has only now happened and that it is so shocking, it's like, well, strategically, it makes sense that this can be done. And you'd also think it's we've been doing it to them. Yeah, what was the next thing I had? Oh, yeah. Now I thought I didn't really write, but anyway, yeah, it's why is the Republic losing? You're just saying it's losing, that they're losing. I don't know why. You kind of need to tell me why. It then describes, without Palpatine, the Republic will fall. I think you've got a problem here now, like already. That they are building up Palpatine as being so important. They're also ignoring one thing very important, which is the whole, he was already past his term limits. It's kind of nice to mention that. And they are talking him up so much here. Whose personal integrity and courage prove that the separatist propaganda of corruption in the Senate is nothing but lies. Even Padme acknowledged that there were problems. Was aware that there was corruption in the Senate. And it's like, oh no, it's all propaganda. It's like, well, actually, no. We know it's not. But my larger point here is just, if he is that important, that to lose him, the Republic falls, you're kind of doing it wrong. I get the whole figurehead thing, but he needs to have second in command. And it's also, he should... the Supreme Chancellor is not necessarily the Commander-in-Chief. Okay? Like, it even kind of mentions when it gets to talking about Grievous and how evil he is. You're talking about the different leaders of the Separatists, like Newt Gunray, Poggle the Lesser of Geonosis, who, by the way, he is also mentioned in Attack of the Clones. But also, the political heart of the Separatist Confederacy, Count Dooku. But when we get to Grievous, is the Separatist Supreme Commander. He's not, now, he serves under Dooku. Who's the Supreme Commander for the Republic? That person being captured would be more significant than Palpatine. Palpatine should just be I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. It's important. It's very important. I mean, it's like how in World War II, there was already concerted efforts being made prior to it, but certainly then there were concerted efforts made to hide FDR's paralysis from, pretty sure that was polio, wasn't it? Yeah, because March of Dimes is for polio. I get that, but it still is. If it's the Republic will fall because of him alone, I get it hurting morale, but if you're not prepared for other things, like other losses, because he's also getting old, you already have a problem, and just psychologically speaking, the Republic, everyone should be equal such that he can be replaced, such that he is not the only one, so it's just, it kind of relates to the next point I want to get to. That is more frustrating, but it's kind of the same thing that I have an issue with Palpatine here, but it is different because with that, it's more he's just being talked up, but he's that dude. All right. But here's a strange thing. Few of the younglings, which apparently is just being used to refer to any child of any species. Don't know why they can't just say child. But anyway, few of the younglings need comfort. It is instead the younglings who offer comfort to their elders across the Republic. In words or pheromones, in magnetic pulses, tentacle braids, or mental telepathy, the message from the younglings is the same. Don't worry, it'll be alright, because the adults are freaking out over the abduction of Palpatine. Anakin and Obi-Wan will be there any minute. They say this as though these names can conjure miracles. Anakin and Obi-Wan, Kenobi and Skywalker. From the beginning of the Clone Wars, the phrase Kenobi and Skywalker has become a single word. They are everywhere. HoloNet features of their operations against the Separatist enemy have made them the most famous Jedi in the galaxy. I hate this. Well, no, hate isn't quite the right word. Because it's for the specific reason that I find this obnoxiously annoying. So I am frustrated by it, and I greatly dislike it. Hate, not quite the right word. It's a good way to it's a good single word, though. Don't talk up your protagonist like this. I'm sorry, you really shouldn't. Because you're just saying that they're this oh so great and wonderful. It's like, yeah, but let me get to know them. Tell me about them. Let me meet them, which haven't yet. And it's not only just that, it's kind of like the whole, going back with how Qui-Gon was talked up, with all, greatest swordsman in the galaxy nonsense in the Phantom Menace. It's like you keep talking him up, but it just gets to the point of being nonsense. Because it's like, we basically don't see that displayed, except against Maul, who is consistently able to push him back. So it's like, okay, you're building Maul up, but it also means then that when Maul kills him, it is unreasonable that there's anyone that can challenge him. So it's like, you're really causing more problems by doing that, and it is annoying. It's obnoxious. Okay, it really and truly is. And it also makes it, like, let me get to know them. Let me understand why they are considered so great. And there's also the whole, the most famous Jedi in the galaxy. There's a lot of Jedi in the galaxy. Okay, I mean, it's like, what about Mace Windu? What about Yoda? What about Ki-Adi-Mundi? Trying to think if I can remember any other names from that. None are coming to mind. But it actually also mentions over here that there are whispers of names that the Jedi would like to pretend never existed. Sura Bulk, Depa Bilapa, a Jedi who have fallen to the dark, who have joined the Separatists or worse. and such. I'm like, this is potentially just rumor, but it still is like, I get that Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's like they're the protagonists of the story, so you want to build them up, but it's like they're also one part of a lot, okay? And so it gets obnoxious how you're building them up, and it's like Mace Windu is also important, and he's an actual master on the Jedi Council. To be fair, it's not yet stated if Anakin and Obi-Wan have been elevated to Knight and Master respectively. But Windu being on the council would make him more powerful, seemingly more powerful. Yoda being on the council and being so old, again, he would be higher. Ki-Adi-Mundi being on the council, he's higher. These are more important, more significant Jedi within the Jedi organization itself. But you're telling us about these guys and how, they're the greatest. It's like, we already know names of people that should at least be their equal. And they are going to be important later on. I mean, think about, just with the movie, because I haven't read the book yet, so have to go by the movie. Who is it that goes to confront Palpatine? Mace Windu and people with him. It's not Anakin that goes. Well, true, he's technically touched by Palpatine, so there can be issues there. But it's not like, we'd better bring in Kenobi because, he's just the best. He's the greatest. No. Mace Windu went to do it. Now, true, Yoda wasn't there, but it's like, could we maybe wait until Yoda gets here? Can we maybe wait until Obi-Wan gets here? Can we do that? Nope. We're going to send in apparently the third stringer. This is why you don't want to do that. And it's also, how can I relate to these two? Because that is also part of it with a protagonist. You want the reader to be able to relate to them. In some cases, you even want them to be able to inhabit them, where they so connect with them that it's almost like you are in the story instead of them. But it's still, you need that relationship with them. And it's like, you're making them idols here. It's obnoxious. Yes, there's also that point. If this is the case for them, they are celebrities, right? If they're celebrities, Anakin and Obi-Wan, but mainly Anakin, would not have any peace, would not have any privacy. So, the galaxy knows that he and Padme are married now, right? I mean, seriously, how could they hide that? If he is such a celebrity that, and where is it? Yeah, even grown-ups are not immune. It's not uncommon for an exasperated parent to ask when faced with offspring who've just tried to pull off one of the spectacularly dangerous bits of foolishness that are the stock and trade of high-spirited younglings everywhere. So which were you supposed to be, Kenobi or Skywalker? So it's like, the kids love him, and the adults, well, the parents, also. And it's like, you think they're not watching? It's Anakin. It's Anakin Skywalker, look. It's like, dude, you're 40. Yeah, so? I was like, they're gonna know. Come on. So, yeah, it really is a problem to me. Because you start talking them up, and it's like, come on, man. Unless... No, I'm not even going to go with that unless. Because I was going to say, but this is wrong. I was going to say, unless it is, you're talking them up here and then you're going to bring them back down. But it's like, there are other ways of doing that. There are other and better ways of doing that. Such as just referring to them as heroes of the Republic and then mentioning these things that they have achieved. So that way you're not saying that they're the greatest. You're just saying they're heroes of the Republic. So you're not excluding there being other heroes. We're focused on these two. And by the way, it also does end with, they are arriving, which is also a problem. Because it's like, they arrived and, they're here to save the day. It's like, okay, Coruscant's being attacked. There has to be a lot more than just them coming. I mean, it's, and especially since, how to put it here, yeah, a pair of starfighters, Jedi starfighters, only two. Two is enough. Two's enough because the adults are wrong and the youngs are right. That this is the end of the Age of Heroes. It has saved its best for last. It's like, even I'm trying to remember how many months ago it was I read through the Iliad, okay? Which it's filled with, well, not only, yes, you do have gods in there, but you do have, like, Age of Heroes there. Like, that's who beings such as Achilles, Odysseus, Agamemnon to a degree. Why can't I remember more of their names? Hector, Paris. Well, not so much Paris, but definitely, well, actually, no, Paris would still be. Ajax, and others I'm just not thinking of their names. I was like, these were also very powerful, but it's also like, how many did I just name off? And I know that might not even be half of the cast of characters in that story that are at that level. Okay, and they all are different. Like, Odysseus is mainly incredibly intelligent and incredibly wise. He is also very formidable, but physically formidable. But it still is. You would still mention him in the same breath with Achilles, who I think I'd seen somewhere. I don't remember if it was in the Iliad or something that I was looking up about it. One aspect of Greco-Roman mythology that's kind of interesting is that even the Olympians, who are titans, okay? Like, I'm actually not sure what beings because the titans do come from somewhere. And like Gaia is one of those still higher beings than them. I'm not sure what they would technically be called. But in any case, titans are up here. And then you have gods down here, like river gods and such, would be lesser than the titans. But the titans themselves are still bound to fate. They cannot defy fate. But one thing that I saw being described is Achilles is actually so powerful that when he is enraged and going at it, he can potentially defy fate. So he is actually terrifying even to them. Yeah. So, you would still mention Odysseus in the same breath, Ajax in the same breath, and such. And it's like, that's now true. They are lesser than him, but it's still, they are all there. They are all equals to certain degrees. And also to help put in context, Ajax is actually so physically large and strong. He basically has what you would refer to as a tower shield, and it is described as being so large and so heavy. It's basically just him and Achilles that can wield it, that could use it. I think Odysseus may have also been mentioned, but I know definitely it's like, if Ajax drops it, he's the only one that can pick it up, or Achilles is. That's it. There's no one else that can pick that up. That is how freaking big he is. And I'm trying to remember if he dies in it or not. He might die. I don't quite remember. But it still is, like, that's Age of Heroes, classical Age of Heroes. And you don't talk single or pairs of them up like they are talking up Anakin and Obi-Wan here. And it bothers me because it's like, part of it with Iliad is some of them, yes. I mean, I'm trying to remember if Ajax dies by the end. I think he might. Achilles does die, yeah, ultimately, though that isn't covered in the Iliad. But there are others that do die in it. And it's like, these are the heroes. So it's like, you need to keep that equality and keep them being human as well. They're powerful, but they're still human. But this, it's like, there's only two, but two is all you need. It's like, come on, man, do better than that. Because you can. You don't need to be this like, oh, they are so amazing. It's just, don't make them idols. And it's also just, as far as other ways, as I said, Heroes of the Republic. You can do things like that. Because there are others as well. You're focusing on them because, hey, they're the protagonists. But there are others. Like with Palpatine also, you can mention, it's not just Palpatine, he's a political leader. Mention who the commander-in-chief is for the military. Or multiple, because in theory there could be multiple. I mean, the galaxy's a big place. It would make sense that you would have multiple generals. I mean, true, yes, you may still have a supreme commander, but, well, actually, I'm trying to think, because Dwight Eisenhower, Ike, was supreme commander, but that was for the European theater. I don't think he necessarily had much to do with the Japanese theater the Pacific Theater, sorry, in World War II. So it's, again, it's not unreasonable that there would be multiple people here, and yes, you would know their names, right? It would not only be Palpatine. It was not just FDR you knew. So yeah, but it's like for my own stories, it's like I got one that it's an older story, but it checks out. Sorry. Where it's like, yeah, there is one guy who he would be considered Age of Heroes level kind of person. But part of it is I would only talk him up by what his title is, which is how he's always going to be referred to as, and then specific things that he's done. It wouldn't just be he's so amazing and all, and the kids talk about it. No, it's he's done this, he's done this, he's done this, he's done this. Like even when in The Children of Many Gifts, which is a sequel, first sequel I've done so far, with Sam there, and for a lot of it, you don't actually know who he is. Because he's present, he's more present in the story than his name is, I think is a way to put it. And but there are still many references to what he's doing, and how some people see it as it's so unbelievable they reject that it's real. Right? They say no, it must have been faked. Somehow it must have been faked. So it's like it still is. I'm telling you what was done, what was achieved here by him. But I'm also at the same time sharing with you how the people that don't believe it's possible are rejecting it. So it's up and grounding. So, true, I also was doing that over many chapters as opposed to a single introduction, but it's still my point being, you don't just make them these amazing idols on tall pedestals. It's obnoxious. It's obnoxious to me. And also, as I'm looking down and seeing my set of Blu-rays for Star Wars, Luke was never described this way. He was the hero of Yavin, though. He is the one who destroyed the Death Star. But he was never introduced like this, like these two characters are. He was never treated quite like this in either the novels or in the movies. And it's also, when you think about it, when he goes up, he doesn't go up and get awarded alone. No, Han is also awarded. So is Chewie in the novel. So it's like, they all got awarded. Technically, there should have been a lot more that were awarded as well. But, I mean, because everyone that went that was on that mission should have been awarded. But in any case, they're the named ones. And they were awarded for it. But they were awarded equally. And then it was they split off, did all that. I mean, it's like, they were still just people. They were the characters that you're supposed to connect with and move forward with. So, yeah, I just, it is possible that it will get better. But this is not a strong start for me. It really, really isn't, and it is concerning. It is concerning. I'm it'd be nice if it ended on a high note, but okay. This is inappropriate to do, but what the hell? The video's already running long. I think I had mentioned rankings before. Return of the Jedi of the novelization so far, that's my favorite. A New Hope is below it. Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Empire Strikes Back. Okay, Empire Strikes Back is the worst because it's Empire, Phantom Menace, and Attack of the Clones all have issues with being flimsy and fragile. But Empire Strikes Back is like, well, everyone is dumb. Almost everyone. Singular exception being the Avenger crew. So it's like none of their motivations make sense. Right? Because we're never following motivations. If you start questioning why somebody does something, and you realize that, wait, it makes more sense that they would do this, the story falls apart. Phantom Menace is also kind of like that, but you don't have as many people being stupid. Attack of the Clones is more... It's still got the flimsy and fragile stuff with certain spots, but there are also there's a lot of it where it actually is pretty solid, but still is better. We could have such better motivations there that would make it so much better. Excuse me. And then A New Hope, that's actually, I mean, it read to me like a somebody's first novel, so it has issues like that in there. But by and large, it's still pretty good. If you allow the forgiveness for reading like somebody's first novel, is fairly straightforward hero's journey. Then Return of the Jedi had moments in there that blew me away that were so well done. Right now, my feeling with this would probably put it around Phantom Menace. I don't know if it'll be above or below, but that's about where it would be, which would mean it would be either the second worst or third worst. No, fourth. Empire. It's either going to be. I'm thinking it'll either be. No. Sorry, second or third worst. That's what I'm currently thinking. True, just the introduction. It is possible for it to change my mind, but it's also one thing that I have experienced with when I've reviewed games. You typically, I reject the idea that a game gets good, or plenty of other things where it's like, oh no, it gets good. If you start off already turning somebody off, and I am a little turned off by this, I'm annoyed by this, chances are you're not going to capture that person later on. It is possible sometimes, but I consider it very rare, very unlikely. So I am very concerned. As I said, I could see it being Empire, and then either here or here, with Attack of the Clones ahead of it. But that is just literally just the one thing, just the introduction. It's just so many red flags to me. Hopefully that will be proven wrong, but got this much to find out. Long video. See you next time. Sorry.